Hello, hello. Welcome to Heart to Heart. How are you this morning? Thank you so much for accepting our invitation on the show this morning.
Yeah, I'm doing all right. It's a little early for me on the West Coast, but not too bad. And I've been up for a while now, and I've got my coffee, so ready to chat a little bit.
Good. I have my green juice, so I will, I will accompany you. Um, so yes. So the first question I have for you is, how did you come up with your name?
It was actually one of my first WoW characters, and it's just meant to be like a more, I guess, pronounced version of Roffle or rolling on the floor laughing. And I just thought it was clever at the time. I don't know, I was about 18 or 19, I think, and just kind of went with it, and it just became my default in-game name, and then was my Twitch name when I started streaming. It's kind of easy to brand around it too, so it just worked out.
Amazing. So how long have you been streaming? When did you start?
That's a good question. It's been a while, maybe 4 going on 5 years now, I think. I usually just am reminded of how long I'm streaming by the time some of my longest subs start resubbing. That makes me realize how long I've been doing it. But I think it's either 4 years or just over 4 years.
Okay, good. And so how long have you been playing the game?
I've been playing the game for a very long time. I started in closed beta. I was fortunate enough to get an early beta key because, like I mentioned, I played WoW and I'd played a lot of Magic the Gathering, so card games were kind of a thing that I was doing at the time. And then my brother was like, "Hey, you should check out Hearthstone. It's a new game coming out." So it's like I watched some streams. I really enjoyed it, and then I started playing it myself, kind of casually, and then eventually I started writing articles and streaming, and that's where I am now, I guess.
That's great. Um, and so when you started playing the game around beta, um, what caught your attention first? What did you like the first time you've played the game?
When I was first playing it, it was nice to be able to. I had just started like my first real job, so I was pretty busy. I didn't have a lot of time to like play WoW anymore because I was spending a lot of time working, and so it was nice to have something that I could just pick up, play, and you know get my gaming kick without like dedicating a whole evening to it necessarily. Which kind of ironic now that it is my full-time job is centered around playing the game. But like what I liked about it at the time was that it was just something quick that I could pick up when I had a few minutes, come back to it a little bit later if there was a disruption or something like that, and just really the simplicity of Hearthstone is kind of great. It makes it accessible to everyone, but it still has quite a lot of depth to it. So it's kept me engaged for almost a decade now.
Yeah, no, of course. And so what was your job at the time?
At the time, I was writing a school curriculum, so like tests and assignments that kids use in classrooms. But shortly after, I moved on to a software company where which was the last job I had before I went full time.
And how long have you been full-time streamer?
I think it'll be 2 years in August. So for a while, I think maybe 2 or 3 years, I was trying to do both, and it was exhausting. There were a couple days a week where, in order to edit a video and stream, like every hour of my day from waking to sleeping was like completely accounted for, including like travel time for work. I only had breaks to just scarf down some food, and it was unsustainable. It burned me out pretty quick, and so I was fortunate enough to be able to like shift to just doing one of those things rather than trying to do both.
For sure, for sure. I do understand that having a full time job and being a full time streamer. I do. So yes, it's pretty intense. Not a lot of
Yeah.
time for friends and family, let's say.
Yeah, because like weekends were for me at the time were like prime streaming time because like
For sure.
I can't do so much during the week. So fortunately, I'm in a position where that's no longer necessary, and I'm you know much happier about that.
Good. So what was the turning point into you, like, that was like this the moment you decided to become a full-time streamer? Like, was there like a particular like turning point where you're like, okay, this is like, I'm gonna take this leap of faith?
Um, Honestly, I'd been considering it for a long time, and I was probably at a point for several months prior to making the change. But honestly, it was just kind of frustration with my day job. I was not really happy being there. So like it was when I think COVID had just started up, and like people were getting furloughed and laid off, and I was not one of those people. But at the same time, it's like I don't know. I don't actually need this job, and yet I'm unhappy with this job. And there are people that would be happy to be brought back if I were to leave. So it's kind of selfish of me to stick around and do both. And really, it was just like I don't know. I was kind of afraid to make the move, and that was kind of the realization. Well, like these people actually need the job. I don't. So maybe it's time to just move on.
Okay. So regarding your family, how was it taken by your people that are close to you that you decided to become a full-time streamer to well, play children card in the video game for a living?
Yeah. So my wife was actually one of the people that pushed me the most because she saw how miserable I was like at my day job and like how stressed I was trying to do both. So it was really probably in part because of her that I decided to move on. In terms of like my mom and brother, my mom was a little bit confused because she didn't know what it was, what I was talking about, or she was not really familiar with Twitch, but she was supportive. And fortunately, my brother lives in the same city as her, so she was able to learn a little bit about it from him, and he could explain it maybe a little bit better than me. But she still doesn't really quite understand. But I think that she sees that I'm happier with my choice, and I actually have weekends free to come visit a little bit more often. So I think she's supportive of the change, and yeah, I guess would be is proud. She always shares like my channels with like my aunts and uncles. So I guess that's probably a good sign.
You don't live with your wife?
Oh no, I do.
Okay.
That was sorry. That was my mom I was talking about.
Okay, your mom. Sorry, sorry.
That I get the yeah.
Your mom. I was like, that's quite an arrangement for someone that works at home. um, okay. Well, that's good. That's good that you have the support of your family and wife. Um, it's always very important. Um, and so I it must be, and I don't know how much like your family understand like what you do, but as you mentioned, like it's still for them it's not very clear. So how do like at a family dinner when you talk about your job, how do you handle things?
um, I just explain that I play video games in front of people all day, and that somehow I make a living off of that. That seems to be all that all that they care about is that I'm able to survive and everything. But like it was kind of strange because I went from a very stable, pretty well paying job at a software company to playing a children's card game. So like it was maybe a little bit confusing at first, but eventually, like, now that it's been 2 years, it's I think they've seen that it is fairly stable, and so are a little bit more understanding of it.
Um, I'm sure you do get the question often. I get it a lot. So when people ask you, why do people watch you play game and are not playing the game by themselves?
Yeah, like I do get that a lot, and like I always refer back to my childhood because like I had an older brother who was better than me at some games, and it was just like there were times where I was like, I'm just perfectly happy sitting there watching him play a game, and it's kind of similar to that, right? Where like, sometimes watching the game, it can be just as fun as playing it, and also like a lot of times I figure people are actually playing the game while they're watching me, so it's like Hearthstone is a pretty slow paced game where you can have something on in the background while you're playing it, and why not
Definitely.
just throw up a streamer that you like.
Good. How would you describe your like your advantage, like your the characteristic that makes you like unique and that people would rather watch you than someone else?
Uh, That's a good question. I don't know. I think that I came into Wild at a pretty opportune time where there weren't a lot of people maybe creating a lot of Wild content. So there was kind of a need for that, especially on YouTube. One of the prominent creators at the time had been stepping away from Wild, so there's a bit of an opening. On top of that, like, I think maybe the variety in the decks that I play, as well as the consistency at which I put out videos. I think I've going on 3 years now. I've uploaded a YouTube video every single day. So like that consistency helps build an audience. People know that there's going to be a video coming out every day, and they know that it's going to be different from the one yesterday, which is a little bit unique, I think, in that like I rarely repeat decks within the same expansion cycle, so there's a lot of variety and a lot of different decks being showcased.
Okay. Someone mentioned me this morning that you were playing Line Cracker Druid.
Yes, yes. I gained about 5,000 armor, and then in one game I had 2,500 armor, and I immediately got plate breakered, which is a meme in my channel because I have constantly said that that card doesn't actually exist, and then it happened to me in today's video, unfortunately.
Amazing. So I've been playing. I've been playing like Cracker Druid, and I got 5,000 armor. Never got 25,000 though, but 5,000 I did, and I put it on YouTube. People were like, "How did you have?" I think that the game ended up in tiebreak because we were like just infinite. Like there was no way we would kill each other after eating the mechatoon.
Yeah, I've one of my opponents in the recent video got in that situation, but I have broken through a line cracker mirror before. When the deck first came out, I threw out a Jade Idol and just like bashed my opponent with large green men for a few turns, and eventually they exploded. So it's possible to win, but not easy, and usually just ends in a tie with both players being miserable.
Okay. So yes, so I do have a couple of wild questions for you. Because I mean it's very interesting the wild the like the wild content creation world out there. Like I got introduced to wild only when I started streaming and I wanted to do all the game modes. And for me, it's just like it's crazy to see like this some of the powerful decks and some of the like constant powerful. And so how do you like so what's the balance between playing really memey powerful decks and just playing the best deck out there? How do you balance that?
I used to be someone who would aim for some of the more powerful decks. and I got I sort of made my name getting like high legend finishes. I had several top 50s, top 25s, and like single digit finishes. But after a while, like I realized that started making me enjoy the game a lot less. Like there's a lot of pressure to, have that number be smaller, and it, it was just making me honestly enjoy playing Hearthstone a lot less. So I started shifting towards playing stuff that's maybe a little bit more off meta. Found myself having a lot more fun. And honestly, the videos and streams started doing a lot better after I made that change. So I just kind of leaned into that and stuck with it. And so now, for the most part, I just I struggle with bad to okay decks against the strong and powerful things that are possible in Wild. But like, what I like about Wild isn't necessarily being able to do the most powerful thing. It's having the option to do whatever it is that you want, and having that deep card pool gives you a lot of different options, which allows me to do things like have a variety of decks that I showcase every day. Because like, in standard there are certainly a lot of options, but eventually you kind of run out of ideas, I would imagine, because there's a bit of a limited card pool.
What was your favorite meta this year?
Uh, Forged in the Barrens. Just because things were a little bit slower than they are right now, which didn't necessarily mean that I could win more often, but I feel like I could get goofy things set up a little bit better. Right now, there's kind of this is true in standard as well, with quest lines coming out, as well as Kazakhstan later in the year. Like the window of acceptable turns or allowed turns was just kind of like pushed down a little bit because things were ending the game so quickly. And Forged in the Barrens was, immediately before that, and things had slowed down with the watch posts and that kind of thing. So I think that getting a chance to at least set up my goofy combo, even if I don't like fully pull it off or win the game as a result, was nice during that era.
What's your goofiest deck this year?
Goofiest deck. Ooh. That's a good question. I just finished editing a Reform, the from Warlock that just creates a bunch of random legendaries. That doesn't really have much of a win condition. I'd say the goofiest deck that I've played that comes to mind is when Dark Moon Fair released. I tried to do a combo where I would play Bran into the new Yogg-Saron with Blur in play on Demon Hunter, so that I could get the Rod of Roasting and be immune. I played the deck for 9 hours on the release of the expansion and got 0 Rods of Roasting after playing like 70 or so Yogg-Sarons, and completely lost my mind in the process. It took I was playing Yogg in every deck from the moment that expansion released, and I could not. It was like Rod of Roasting was a myth to me. So like you can just see my like sanity deteriorating over the course of that 9-hour stream.
I love that because in my head, because I was playing Yokes around, it was when I started streaming, because it's only been a year and in some months that I'm streaming, and I did a post that got lots of likes and views. I was like, I'm sure it's impossible for you to get it because I've showed the stats. I've just never got it. So I was like, it doesn't exist. Like I'm sure it's a myth. I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, if it wasn't for people coming into my stream and telling me that other streamers had gotten it, I wouldn't have believed it, because I never saw it. Like, what is that sliver of the wheel for? It's clearly not going to ever select it.
Oh my god, I found it really funny because I felt exactly the same. I was like, this is a myth. This is a myth. Unicorns are real, yes. Okay, so and if we talk about not just this year but overall, from since you're playing Wild, which was your favorite deck of all time or top three?
Okay, top three. I really like Death Rattle Weasel Priest, so I like shuffling weasels into my opponent's deck, snagging them back into my own deck with Benedictus, and then doing something to like change them into playable cards. So that varies from expansion to expansion. Sometimes it's been Elise Starseeker, so I can turn them into random legendaries. I've done other things with like Lady Prestor, where I turn them into dragons,
Yeah.
or Wormrest Purifier, so that I can just convert them to random priest cards. So there are a lot of fun things that you can do with that. I also really like running double Yogg in Shudderwalk Shaman, so that I can get a bunch of spells in the Yogg and then repeat the battle cries with both of them with Shudderwalk, so that it's just like constant chaos. And then I think those are the two that come to mind. Just because I play so many different decks throughout the year, it's hard to get too attached to anything in particular. But you know, I just like generally doing silly things.
Yeah. Highlander Hunter was my all-time favorite. I had so much fun playing it. It was always different because, like, with Zeph and like you had answers for everything, and that's why I loved it. And I'm still playing it in Wild, but now I've tweaked it a little from the moment we were playing it in Standard.
Yeah, that's definitely a fun one as well. And there are a lot of different ways you can take Highlander Hunter as well. You can do big beasts, you can do secrets. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, do you like artwork on card, and do you have a favorite one
Favorite
or a
artwork?
top?
Oh, I do enjoy the artwork. I like a lot of the sillier ones. Maybe Murloc Tinyfin, because he is the superior cute minion to Snowflipper Penguin, and I will hear nothing else.
So it's really funny that you say that, because on my channel, Tinyfin is my sister, so that's the nickname of my sister.
I mean, it's a cute card. He's got that little sword. Like, come on.
Yeah, the Murloc, that's my sister. Okay, so Tinyfin would be your fave. Favorite golden card?
Ooh, I don't actually know. I haven't looked at the golden animations in a while. Let's go with like something that generates value. So it would be like maybe a golden Rafaam would be up there, just because then it's converting some of your all of those goofy random legendaries into golden cards as well, so you get good value off of it. And actually, I'll take that back. Golden Deathstalker Rexar, because I actually crafted that recently, and being able to build golden beasts is just beautiful.
Ah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Okay, and do you have a nemesis on ladder?
Pirate Warrior. The Raid the Docks is my absolute nemesis. It makes me lose my mind. The cannon shots seem to always go face when I'm at a low life total, and always hit my minions when I'm playing for board. And again, this is you can see my sanity decline the more that I queue into Pirate Warrior, because there are a lot of questionable plays that my opponents make that I can't punish them for, and yeah, that is just Pirate Warrior is my nemesis.
Are you a salty streamer?
Generally not, but like when when I hit a high density of Pirate Warriors, the salt does begin to flow. Like there's never been a deck in the history of Hearthstone, and there have been a lot of like goofy, like outrageous broken decks in Wild in particular that have made me rage quite as much as Pirate Warrior.
Good. Do you have a nemesis on ladder as a player and not necessarily as a deck?
No. probably not. I do queue into like their I guess I don't know, their stream personalities that people recognize that queue into me like at the rank that I play, because Wild's a fairly small format, so there are people that intentionally or not often queue into me with like similarly goofy decks, and I wouldn't call them a nemesis necessarily, but like there are people like that become kind of celebrities on stream as a result of queuing into me often, like King Ogre and Megamog, as well as uh, Swag, who's a streamer himself. And in the past, there was a really popular one named Juno, who we would frequently get into like Weasel Priest mirrors together, and it would be like 40 to 60-minute games of just nonsense happening back and forth.
That's kind of nice, though.
Yeah, oh, I loved it. And like they became celebrities because the chat loved it. So it's like, yeah, it was always a lot of fun.
Yeah, when I was playing a Control Priest in the spring last year, when it was like 30 minutes game, and people were like, okay, like so we will see 4 games on one stream, because like just you don't have time to do more than the games are so long when you have a Control Priest mirror.
Yeah, that's I enjoy that though. That makes for good content. I don't enjoy it for the entirety of a stream necessarily, but it's nice every once in a while.
I agree. I like it because it's intricate and you don't know what's going on, and there's lots of value generation. So there's lots of things you can do, and so every game is different, and that's one thing I really like about it.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so I do have a couple of more personal question. So can you talk about how you meet your wife?
We actually briefly worked together at our at that first job that I was mentioning at the doing the educational curriculum, and then I left uh, to pursue the software company, because at the time that's what I was looking to do, and so we started dating shortly after that.
How long has it been?
4 years. It'll be 5 in November.
Nice, nice, nice. Um, and so you live in the States, right?
Yes.
You exactly where?
I live in an undisclosed portion of California. So.
Okay, good. Okay, so the West Coast.
Yes. Yes.
Good. Undisclosed portion. That's kind of funny. Okay, so are you gonna go to TwitchCon in October?
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I have a close friend of mine. It lives in San Diego, so it would be an excuse to see him, as well as maybe hang out with some people from stream.
Good. I will see you there.
Oh, perfect.
And so, okay, so you live in California, but if you could live anywhere else in the world, where would you live?
Oh, I don't know. I'm pretty happy living in California right now. Maybe longer term. I think it'd be nice to maybe live somewhere in Europe, just because you have like a variety of different cultures that are basically people pass like from. I've been to Germany in the past, and like when my uncle was stationed there in the army, and like you pass through countries with very different cultures and things. Like we pass through states here, and I don't know, that seemed kind of nice to me. So like living somewhere in Europe, maybe Greece, would be appealing, and just seeing some of the like historic places, or being able to have more access to historic places, because the United States are a pretty young country by comparison, or so it would be, interesting to see some of that history. Like, I don't know, I've been to Boston and walked around some of that, and it's just like, yeah, this is neat and all, but it's like, I don't know, it only goes back a couple hundred years or so.
Okay. Can you talk a bit about your education?
Yeah, I actually graduated with a bachelor's in psychology and then never really used it. It's just kind of a good general degree. And then, like, while I was doing the educational curriculum job, I started teaching myself programming, and that's how I got kind of an in at a software company. And eventually continued teaching myself there, and started in a more or moved into a more technical role than what I started in.
Okay, nice, nice. Um, do you have a pet?
I have two. I have two dogs. One husky, who is quite loud, and one just terrier that I adopted. And I've had him for 9 years. I think so. He's getting up there in old age, but he's yeah. That's my dog. The husky was my wife's family dog, and then we took him on, and so I'm a little bit more bonded with the little terrier that makes his sometimes shows himself on stream, but he doesn't like being picked up too much. He just likes hanging out. Under the desk one time, he actually laid down on my power strip and ended the stream because he just kind of wants to be where people are.
Oh, my cat always mute my stream, so it changed song, so
Yeah.
always.
Just wants to be involved.
Exactly. So what's their name?
The husky is named Juno, but like the
Oh, Juno, like the streamer.
not quite. It's spelled like the capital of Alaska, and then the terrier is Teddy, or which is short for Theodore.
Okay, good. Isn't it hot for a husky in California?
Yeah. He stays indoors most of the time during the summer, and we get a lot of hair everywhere as a result of that. But it keeps him safe and healthy. But yeah, it's a little warm for him, and doesn't actually get terribly cold for him either. But there are mountains nearby that we can take him up to the snow so that he can be in more of his natural habitat.
Good. You can bring him to Canada. We will make him run with the sleigh ride. Is that how you say it? Yeah.
Yeah. He does need a lot of walk. So when it starts heating up, we have to go early in the morning before stream so that it doesn't so it's not too hot for him.
Okay, good. So you're mentioning early on in the morning. So my question is, can you tell us a little bit about your one day in the life of Roffle?
Sure. So nowadays I wake up just kind of whenever. I used to have to like set an alarm for 5 a.m. to get to work every day while editing a video in the morning. But now I just kind of on a stream day, I'll wake up usually around 7, just kind of whenever I'm up. I'll start making coffee and immediately start editing the video that will go up, in the next day or two. Once the video is edited and produced, I probably finish my first cup of coffee at that point, and I'm generally either walking a dog or getting a workout in somehow. Then by the time that's done, it's usually time to start getting ready for stream. So I'll maybe shower, get changed, start setting up the stream room, and generally stream for about 4 to 5 hours. Once that's done, I'll usually take the other dog for a walk, making sure that they both get exercise. They can't really walk together because they like compete for who gets to go in front, and also like the husky needs to go a lot longer for a lot longer walk than the terrier. So they kind of have to stagger them a little bit. At that point, I usually start cooking dinner, or at least getting things prepped for dinner time, and then evenings are usually just kind of relaxing, watching a show, playing a game. I've been playing a lot of Elden Ring lately, so that's kind of where my evenings have been dedicated. But usually maybe a board game or just a lot of my friends, even before the pandemic, a lot of my friends that have been kind of scattered around the state of California. So like we just kind of regularly do like Discord hangouts where we'll play games together there. So
Yeah, so that leads me to food questions because so you mentioned you're cooking. So are you a good cook?
uh, I think so. Uh, most people like yeah when generally when we get together for her like family dinners, I'm the one put in charge with doing the main course. So I guess most people would say yes. So
Yeah. Well, are you more the cook or your wife is more of the cook?
uh, a little of both. We both I think are reasonably uh, are about the same. Just different. We each maybe have different strengths or do different dishes. So yeah, we both share the amount of cooking that I think is done, as well as are both like equally skilled at it.
And when you want to impress your wife, what do you make? Signature
Uh,
ruffle dish?
Generally, probably the signature dish is probably a prime rib, which I do a lot during like holiday dinners and that kind of thing.
With a side of.
I like doing sautéed Brussels sprouts with
Ooh, delicious.
yeah, with a little bit of scallions and some bacon for garnish, and then maybe some like either sweet potato fries or a mash of sorts, and maybe just like a salad or something.
Nice, nice. Do you drink wine?
I do from time to time. I prefer whiskey, but I'll have a glass of wine now and then. Usually, um, like a somewhat bitter, like red, like a cab or something along those lines.
Something from California?
Yeah, there's certainly plenty of options. Here we've got a few different like wine based areas with grapes grow well all over the state. So there's definitely a lot of good wines here.
Nice. Okay, do you like cheese?
Yeah, too much sometimes. It's a food when that occasionally I have to say maybe I should cut this out because it's easy to overeat cheese for me. So yes,
Well, there's never overeat cheese. Like I mean,
I
cheese is life.
I can assure you there is.
Like to the point to get sick.
No, just I start gaining weight quickly.
Okay.
But
I
but
mean,
yeah,
I eat cheese every meal. Very important.
it
Very
it is
important.
it is an important food group. I agree.
So, top three cheeses.
I like again. I like a lot of bitter flavors. So I like a really sharp cheddar, or I don't know if you're familiar with Dubliner by Kerrygold makes it, and it's really that's probably my favorite cheese. But I like anything with that similar flavor to that. But generally, I'm not too picky.
Okay, so you're more of a firm cheese compared to soft cheese.
Yes, definitely, definitely.
Okay, that's one point we don't agree on.
I mean, I'm not going to turn down a soft cheese necessarily, but it's not my preference.
Okay, good. Are you more a sweet or savory guy?
Savory. I rarely eat sweets, but when I do eat sweets, I look like a 5-year-old child. So it's a rare occasion that I eat much sweets or sugar in general. But when I do, again, I look like a crazy person. I've made people working at the frozen yogurt place where it's self-serve kind of gasp as I set down my ice cream before. So yeah, I'm definitely capable of eating a lot of sweets, but I generally prefer savory things
Why would they gasp?
because of the mountain of ice cream that I placed in front of them.
Good, good. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, so are you more vegetable or fruits?
Vegetables, just because again,
Savory.
savory, and I like a lot of those bitter flavors. So like things like Brussels sprouts have that a little bit, as well as you know a variety of different vegetables kind of hit that.
Top three vegetables?
Ooh. I don't think I have a preference. I just whatever's in the fridge or the freezer at the time that I can have quick access to.
Okay, but if you have to pick between all the
Okay.
vegetables
Um,
in the fridge or the freezer.
okay. Maybe asparagus, Brussels sprouts, and I like a good sautéed onion as well.
Good. Good, good. Yes, the food question are always the one that are very destabilizing.
I can imagine. Yeah.
I remember language hacker saying it wasn't in the fine print you sent me. So tonight, what are you gonna make for dinner?
That's a good question. I will have to check to see what is left in the fridge. I think I've got some pork ribs that I need to barbecue, and since it's the weekend, I'll have a little bit more time to like let those sit. So today would probably be a good day for that. So I'll probably do some pork ribs.
Nice, nice. So you're a barbecue guy.
Yeah, yeah. It's especially when things start heating up here, it's not necessarily a good idea to like cook on the stove or oven inside because the heat kind of stays in, and being able to take that outside is a good way to avoid that.
Of course, of course. If you were going to take out food or order in food, what would be your go-to?
Um, for takeout, I generally like to, um, if I'm gonna get takeout, it's going to be something that I either can't make myself or can't make as well myself, or feel like I can't make as well myself. So I like a lot of maybe sushi or Mediterranean food where like I know that I personally can't cook it that well, so I might as well have somebody that's very good at making it make it for me. And so like fortunately, California has like a diverse culture, so there's a lot of good foods from a variety of different ethnicities that are available to me. So um, one of the benefits of living in California, I guess.
Amazing, amazing. So I have lots of questions from chat. So I'm just gonna check because they've sent my mod sent them to me on my phone. So we're just gonna start with some question from chat. We might go back and forth into Hearthstone, your life, and maybe some other food question that chat is interested in knowing.
Sure.
Like, do you have allergies?
Uh, like in general, I have really bad seasonal allergies. And that actually makes living with the husky a little bit difficult because one of the things I am allergic to is dog hair, and so I I tend to sneeze quite a lot when springtime comes around and he starts shedding, and there's like a lot of pollen in the air as well. So yeah, this is the worst time of the year for allergies for me.
You're gonna see there's gonna be some crazy question like this. Like how tall are you?
I am 6'4".
Oh, you're
Uh,
really tall.
yeah, I'm yeah, gigantic. I'm tall enough that people like stop me. Strangers used to stop me and tell me that I was tall, and it's just like, thanks. Like,
Like, yeah, what do you say? What's up?
right,
It's like a
right, like
fact.
yes, I have also noticed this to be true.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a good question then. I would not have expected that at
Yeah,
all.
I mean it's hard to gauge from like a little box on a screen, you know. But yeah, and also I guess it's a little bit different because like I have long legs, especially. So like most of the time, it's when I go from sitting down to standing up that people are like, "Oh God, you're tall," because you can't really tell as much when I'm sitting down. So yeah, that's maybe why some of the surprise happens.
Okay, good. So now we know you're not proportional. You have longer legs than your upper
Not
body.
entirely. Yeah, I kind of have a similar build to Conan O'Brien, where I don't know if anyone has ever watched his late night shows where he'd do like the goofy prancing around with his long legged kicks. That's just how I walk.
Okay, please explain the shoelace thing I keep hearing about on Hearthstone social media.
Okay, this is a great question. So I think it was the Gia was doing her dating show with Slissa and some of the like Sun Glitters and some of the casters from the esports scene, and it was either Derek or Sun mentioned or that wild players were just like automatically cut. Maybe it was even Slissa that said that, and I think Derek went on a tirade about how wild players can't even tie their shoes, and the wild community is I don't know, really passionate, but sometimes to a fault to where they take everything as a personal slight, and so people got really mad that they would talk so poorly about wild Hearthstone players when like it was clearly a joke. They were just just having a laugh, and it was funny. But some people took it personally, and like the backlash blew up a little bit to where it kind of you know the more I guess self-aware members of the community just kind of used it as a meme to point back to like how ridiculous the community can be sometimes.
Okay, good. Thanks for the explanation.
To be clear, I do wear a lot of flip-flops and slip-on shoes, so there may be something to that.
So maybe you've never tried it, so you don't know.
Exactly, yeah. Like I don't know, I could have forgotten at this point. Like I walk around in sweatpants and barefoot most days because I'm a streamer. What else am I supposed to do?
Oh my god. Okay, I'm happy that Wild is included in the Theorycrafting event. What should Hearthstone team do next to support Wild players?
Um, I think just generally having more wild facing events like this. Like this is great that wild is included. It would be nice to have like wild focus types of events in the future. Something like what actually got me into wild personally when I first started playing Hearthstone. I was just kind of playing casually. I played a lot of arena mostly because like I enjoyed drafting. That's what I did in Magic the Gathering. But the first Wild Open came around, and that's what got me hooked on Wild because it had very clear rules for, if you get top 64, you qualify for this tournament. It had a lot of like standard players now had a reason to move over and play some Wild, so there's a lot of visibility for that from streamers and pro players, and it just got a lot of eyeballs. And like me, a lot of people that have been within the Wild community for a long time got there because of the Wild Open. So it'd be nice to kind of come back to that. just to but it honestly, it doesn't even need to be that. It just needs to be some sort of incentive for players to play Wild, because right now the only reason people play Wild is because it's fun. But they, if you generally people play the thing that they see a lot of, and right now what people see a lot of is standard and battlegrounds.
For sure, for sure. Well, I've seen like standard player play like starting to play wild, like Orange recently, who got back into it, and that did really start other people from playing it. So that's good.
hmm Yeah, it's something that kind of happens at this stage in the rotation just about every year, just because like things are getting a little bit stale with standard players. They're used to things changing a little bit more often, and so like this is about the longest that they've gone without really any huge change. So they're looking for looking for that change, and Wild is that change of pace, even if it's like maybe not something that they want to stick with permanently. It still gives them a little bit of a different look at the game.
For sure, for sure. Um, I agree 100% with you. We are definitely in the weight room for the next things. Though I must say I've been really enjoying the RNG of Big Mage right now in Standard with Rune and Amulet. I feel like there's opportunity to have some kind of a semblance of a wild atmosphere. So yeah, I've been enjoying myself recently. And okay, so regarding theory crafting, I wanted to know which card are you more excited to see and play with for the new expansion.
Definitely Captain Hook Tusk. She just does so many cool things that I want to try out. Like it's it's that's a card that I could see being a little bit more playable in Wild than Standard, just because like hitting the requirement for 8 pirates is honestly pretty easy to do in Wild very quickly, because you have like things like patches coming out of your deck, parachute brigand coming from your hand. So there are a lot of ways to get it online to where you can just play it on 8 and bounce it a few times and have a good time. So I don't know. I used to play a lot of like mean strategies in Magic the Gathering, where I would either destroy people's lands or discard their cards from hand. And so being able to do that in Hearthstone has always been a bit of a dream for me. So I'm looking forward to Hook Tusk.
Yeah, and talking about the magic different strategies, with the inclusion of Blade Master Okani, which can counter a minion, and it's the first time in Hearthstone history to do that. How do you think we're gonna be able to like, because to disrupt the game, it's like the first time we see it backs, but well, we see it coming in Hearthstone. So this is very interesting. What are your thoughts on like maybe continuing to have some disruption other than during the player's turn?
Right. Yeah, that's kind of one of the limiting factors for Hearthstone, is that you can only make actions on your own turn, so you can't really like interrupt what the opponent is doing that effectively. So I think that cards like Okani are good, and I really like a lot of times when cards like Okani get released, I like the potential precedent it sets, that maybe like this is something that they could repeat in the future or do something similar in the future, where like having that secretly select between two things is pretty cool. So I think that's a clever way to kind of get the same effect that um, that you might get in a Magic the Gathering, and actually requires some thought to play around. So I'm definitely in favor of not only Okani. I think he's strong enough to be played, but not quite like Lotheb levels of power where you just shove him in every deck. You have to think about, does he belong in this deck? And then the opponent has to think, well, how do I deal with this problem? Or what do I play a spell, or do I play a minion? How do I test for this? And so I think that it adds another layer of complexity to the game that is interesting.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Okay, so now, okay, that's good. That's a funny one. I'm sorry.
Uh-oh.
How many black T-shirt did you buy in bulk?
That's that's it's a common question. Honestly, I'm kind of running low. I don't know what's happened, but like I'm running. So I need to make an order. I've probably got about 4 or 5 left that I need to. Um, so I have to do laundry a little bit more frequently um, than I would like. So I'm overdue for ordering a new set. But I usually just order like 5 or 6 at a time.
Uh, sorry, I didn't expect that one.
Oh, I get that all the time, so I definitely expected it.
Oh my god, it's like when I did the interview with Slissa and someone asked to know how big is her hole, and I was like, what? What's that question, guys? And she's like, no, it's fine. I'm gonna answer the question. I was like, okay, okay. Okay, some players have suggested a constructed format with monthly rotating sets. Would you be interested in this mode? And do you prefer playing with all, or do you prefer playing with all the sets?
So I think that would be an interesting mode, and I would maybe like to at least try it. Um, because like when I played Magic, I generally played Modern, which is kind of like that in between what we know as Wild and Standard. It would be that kind of in between set where it's a more current version of an Eternal format. So like I like that idea as a player, but like as a content creator, I like having more options available to me. So I would probably lean more towards playing the, just general Wild format still. The potential problem I see with that is that like Wild already kind of has a small population, so it's like there are already very few people playing Wild right now. If we split that into 2 groups, it might, I don't know, it might make compound that problem, make it a little bit more difficult if they're like half of the Wild player base goes to the new format. You end up with 2 formats that have a very small set of players.
Okay. What do you think about Mr. Smite? And do you really think the game needed more powerful pirates?
Um, Not really, no, but I don't like Mr. Smite isn't necessarily my problem with Pirate Warrior and Wild. It's like once the Juggernaut comes down, there's a sense of inevitability where you can't outvalue the Pirate Warrior anymore, and that to me that seems like that's just something that I don't enjoy, and it seems silly to have in an aggro deck that can like it can kill you on turn 4 or 5, but if it doesn't, you can't like out heal it, you can't outvalue it. So that's more of my issue than just like getting scammed by random burst damage. Like that that bothers me a little bit less. Like that's kind of a thing that an aggro deck should do.
And what were your thoughts about? I know there was recently there in the last few months there was a meta where there's a lot of the fire mage, like with the fire spell, and people using cheat for the animation to do it like faster, which I still don't understand how people can cheat it. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so they were using basically a third-party program. Somebody like actually caught footage of it, and like, you know, basically it takes away the hang up of a card being played, so you can just like, I don't know, Yu-Gi-Oh style, just like dump cards into play really quickly. Um, and I think that like that situation is kind of unfortunate for a couple of reasons. First of all, like it's unfortunate because like people are cheating their way to high legend ranks, and like that's not good for the people that are playing for high legend ranks. Even if in Wild there's no like reward necessarily, there's still, like the reason that people are playing a lot is so that they can see their number go down. Like that's their incentive for playing, and having people cheat kind of takes away from that. The second thing that it did is that a lot of people blew out of proportion how common it was. So if you just queued into a random person playing that deck on ladder, a lot of people would default to, well, this person beat me, so they cheated. The animations in Hearthstone sometimes are delayed from your opponent's perspective, so like the rope would be burning for what felt like a long time while all these ignites are hitting you in the face, but like in reality, the opponent had those already queued up and played. It was just like it was an animation issue on Hearthstone's end, so people got would go on crusades blaming their opponents of cheating when in reality they were playing perfectly fair. So like, I, yeah, it was kind of an unfortunate situation. The reality is that like Sorcerer's Apprentice needed a nerf anyway, so it was a solution both to a problem with the metagame as well as like people cheating with just by changing a single card. So I think they made the right decision in the end. People got banned, but unfortunately, it took a few months, and people that were playing for high ranks kind of suffered as a result.
Yeah. Well, for sure. Thanks for sharing your views on it. Um, so there's a lot of wild player starting to play duels. What do you think about this mode?
I actually love Duels. I was playing quite a bit of it off stream before Elden Ring came out, and my time off stream got committed there. But Duels is a lot of fun. It feels like it feels rewarding to play because you actually get rewarded with packs and stuff after you run. I was having quite a bit of success at a fairly low MMR, and it felt good to have like an 8.5 win average. And like I can see why a lot of wild players are kind of naturally gravitate towards duels, because like wild is about doing a lot of really powerful things, and like in duels you do really really powerful things like with the treasures and everything. So it makes sense that there would be some overlap in that. And I'm definitely one of those people. You can get like really goofy synergies going that you might not have a chance to do in standard. You have broken hero power. So yeah, I think it's a fun game mode.
Okay, good. Um, Also, um, do you think any card should be added to the ban list in Wild?
Yeah, raid the docks. Like I don't mind Pirate Warrior like as a deck, but like again the infinite value and inevitability is something that like I'm not a fan of. So removing that from Wild would be nice. It's uh, because there are a lot of there's a lot of high quality pirates in Wild, so it's easier to hit the limitations, and it makes it a little bit too easy to get online to the point where it's coming down on turn 5, and then you're just taking cannon shots to the face for the rest of the game.
For sure. Now, I kind of see like a recurring theme.
Yeah.
What do you think the current direction Wild is going right now?
um I don't know, it's tough to say because I feel like a lot of things are being um dictated by the strength of United and Stormwind. Like that kind of pushed a lot of things. Again, shortened that acceptable window of game modes because things were ending quickly. I think that Fractured and Alterac Valley did some to address that, and I think that that's maybe a step in the right direction. If you look at the latest Vicious Syndicate report, we actually have a lot more viable decks than we've had in the past for quite a while. Especially during the United and Stormwind meta, there were basically you had a choice between 3 different decks. Anything beyond that was just lost to those decks, and it felt really bad. That again, like I really enjoy variety, and I didn't offer variety in the opponents that I queue into. It didn't offer variety for me in the decks that I was able to play because I had to end the game before a certain time frame, or I would not have a chance at winning. But I think things have kind of come back to a little bit more normal and a little bit more diverse recently. The one thing that I'm not necessarily a big fan of is still kind of a remnant of the United and the Stormwind, where like the game length is still really short. Like you still have to end the game quickly or you're going to lose. And a lot of that is based on some of the cards that were released during United and Stormwind, with like both the Hunter questline and the Warrior questline kind of being decks that you have to like keep in mind when you're deciding what you want to queue up.
For sure. Do you see any improvement that could be done except for anything related to Pirate Warrior?
Honestly, no. Like I'm not a game designer. I try not to pretend to be. So I don't think that what I've realized is I don't think there's any amount of balance changes that are going to make um, anybody happy, let alone like the vocal minority or majority who end up on like Reddit and Twitter complaining about the game. I don't think there's enough balance changes that are going to ever like make those type of people happy. I think instead, what I would like to see is just again more visibility for the wild format, like things like tournaments, things like wild events. Again, just giving people an incentive to try out the format, because in the past when people have tried it out, a portion of them have stuck around and enjoyed it. So like just getting that opportunity for people to see it would be more important to me than balance changes necessarily.
Okay. Um, how is it to be on the podcast about Wild with Get Meow and Corbett?
Uh, Honestly, it's a lot of fun. Those are, I started streaming around the same time as Get Me Out, so we kind of grew our streams together. He actually hit partner on Twitch before I did, and was like hosting me when I was streaming in the evenings, and helped push to get my numbers up to the point where partner hit. So like it's nice to be able to hang out with them and talk. Corb is somebody that came into the community a little bit later, but was like always a really really good player, and it was like it blew my mind how watching his stream, how well thought out his turns were, and how well he played. And so like when I came on, I think as a temporary, I came on to be interviewed once, and then like as a guest host another time. And honestly, I just like had a lot of fun hanging out and chatting with them. They're both really nice guys, and it makes it easy to host a show with them. And so when they asked me on, I was like, yeah, absolutely, I like to be a permanent host. So yeah, I came a little bit later, but have really enjoyed doing that.
Any bloopers?
All the time. I think that I think Get Me Out tends to cut them out. But we'll have dogs barking, dogs ending up on camera, and as well as just like we were doing a card review yesterday, recording it, and we I completely misread a card and went on this long spiel about how this card could be good in a certain situation that no longer applied. And yeah, so when you record an hour or two every week, there are bound to be some dumb things that come out of your mouth. Like it happens to me on stream all the time. Fortunately, Get Me Out can cut those out.
Good. So that's very interesting. Um, okay, and I do have one more question for you. Um, oh, actually, I have two last question.
Sure.
Favorite guest that went on the podcast?
I mean, this is not to throw any shade at any other guests, but like we had Ixar on the podcast a while ago, and like to this day, like my mind is blown that like he took the time to join our podcast and chat about Wild, which is a format that maybe isn't played as much as some of the other ones. So like getting one of it, I mean, he's the interim game director, I believe. So like having him on the podcast was pretty nice. It was it was a little surreal at the time, because that's somebody that like when I first started being familiar with Hearthstone, was familiar with, and kind of appreciated the work that he had done on Hearthstone. So getting to chat with him was pretty nice.
Nice. Nice. Which of your homebrew deck surprised you the most regarding the win rate?
I don't know that I would call it a homebrew necessarily, because it's kind of like a deck that's existed for a while. But recently I tried out a build of Even Paladin, just because like I hadn't played it in a while. I wanted to try some of the new cards from the mini set, in particular Ring of Courage. And so like I just threw together an even paladin deck. I was like, this should be fine. Let's try it out. And I ended up winning a lot of games with it, and I kept winning. And then I posted the video, and people would report back to me how many games that they've won and how many people hit like their first legend with the deck. And I was just like, well, maybe this deck is actually very good. And then recently, the latest VS report came out, and it found itself in tier 1. So I think that's a little bit of validation that the deck was good. I wasn't like, you know, brainstorming and thinking like mapping out, oh, this deck is perfect for the metagame. I was just like, I just want to play some even paladin, and it ended up being very good into the current metagame, and you know, quite a lot of people had some pretty good success with it. It might be the best paladin deck in Wild right now, which is surprising, but yeah, that was kind of fun to see.
Nice. Very, very nice. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. That's all the question I had for you. so,
Right.
so I know it's pretty early, so you probably want to walk your dog or something after your coffee.
Yeah, it's about time for that. But thank you for having me on. That was a lot of fun, and yeah, I look forward to seeing the pod go out.
Good, good. Well, thank you so much. Have a fantastic rest of your weekend, and we will talk soon.
All right, bye.
Bye.